Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King. Today, I want to talk about a little haul that I got from an event that I went to today with my wife at the Brighton Bazaar in Brighton, Mass. Today, they're having what they call Retromania, where there was all vintage retro dealers. And so I went there. They specifically advertised comic books. I've got a small haul to show you. This will be on the shorter side because um, the event was really cool, but we had to buy the tickets in advance. We had to pay quite a bit for parking, and so I was a little disappointed at how few comics they had. They had two comic dealers, and then there were a couple other booths where people had like a couple boxes of comics. I did get a couple things, and I will say that the two dealers who were there had some really cool stuff. So I got a little bit of footage of the inside. Let me just tell you about the stuff that I saw and didn't buy, because as you know, I'm a cheapskate. But one of the dealers had a tremendous amount of really cool Silver Age stuff, and they had two boxes of horror books, and in those was included like I would say 30 or 40 issues of Adventures into the Unknown from ACG. They also had a whole big section of the companion title, Unknown Worlds. So you don't see the ACG books a lot. The prices were very good on those books, so that was great. They had a lot of cool they had some Charlton horror. Like they had a really nice horror collection. They also had some romance books. I'll show you what I got here in a second. But up on their wall, they had their wall books, and they had some big books, some big like Silver Age superhero keys, like you might expect. But they had a book there where I had like the cartoon eyeballs, the Iuga eyes come out because it's an Archie mega key that's super underrated that I've never seen before. Never in my life seen this in person. It's Laugh Comics number 20. For those who don't collect Archie, Archie first appeared in Pep Comics number 22, and by around issue 50 or so had taken over the book as the lead, and then shortly after that, basically it became all Archie, like teen humor characters with Archie still in the lead. That book ran until the late 80s. And then shortly after that, with the popularity of Archie, they came out with Archie number one, like very soon after that. So we got Archie number one. Um, there were a couple very early Archie stories in Jackpot Comics as well, but that series got canceled. So you had the two ongoing. You had Pep and you had Archie, and as Archie sort of took over all of the company MLJ's, all of their superhero books sort of died out, and Archie became the thing they were doing. They had another title. I think it was Hangman. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I think it was Hangman, where they changed it to a teen humor book. And the first issue was 20. They changed the title to Laugh Comics, starting with issue 20. So issue 20, this is in 1945, is the first issue, the first Archie issue of the book. And Laugh Comics ran until issue 400 and something, and then was rebooted when Archie did a big line-wide like reboot in the late 80s, and the new version of Laugh ran for another 20 or 30 issues before it was finally canceled. So it's the first Archie issue of a series that ran for like 45 years. It's a big deal. It is sort of the redheaded stepchild of the Archie books because you got Archie and Pep are one and two. Laugh is sort of the forgotten third book, but I've never seen a Laugh number 20 before, and for an Archie collector, like that is a major key. So it was $600. It had a CGC 4.0. They had some other early issues of Laugh. They had a Laugh 22 as well, but they only had a couple issues of Archie. They had an Archie 52, which I already have. So I didn't end up getting any of that stuff. Now the other dealer, completely different. It was mostly modern superhero stuff, except this dealer had a sub focus in foreign editions. Now I've been seeing more and more of this online. I have some people that I follow online, and I've been interested in foreign editions for a long time. I like to travel anytime I go anywhere. I did a video like 3 years ago showing some of my foreign editions that I'd gotten, because whenever I travel, I like to go to the comic stores in those countries and get a couple issues as souvenirs. And he had a bunch of big mega keys, uh, foreign editions, and he had one in particular that I desperately wanted. And it's the German edition of Avengers 57, the first appearance of Vision. When my wife and I went to Europe at the end of 2018, we went to Vienna to go to the ball there at the Imperial Palace, the New Year's Eve ball, and I spent a day going to a comic book store that I found in Vienna that had almost a full run of the German Avengers. Now, the German Avengers version of Avengers started in, I think, 71. And then it ran for 100 issues. However, they skipped issue 6 because issue 6 has the Nazi origin of Baron Zemo, and a German book in 1971, they couldn't do that. So they skipped issue 6. So it's Avengers 1 through 101, except issue 6, right? And this place had almost a full run. They had the US numbers 8 to 101. They had like the whole thing except the one that I wanted. The one issue that was missing was 57, which in their edition was number 56, the first appearance of Vision. That was the only one they were missing. Well, anyway, this guy at the show today had that. This book that I was in Vienna searching for. I ended up buying, when I was in Vienna, I ended up buying their versions of Avengers 16, the classic Avengers Assemble cover, 85, first appearance of Squadron Supreme were the ones that I ended up buying. But he had that book. He had the Avengers 56, 57, but it was $350. You know, the ones that I got in Vienna 4 years ago is kind of, well, it's cheaper because I was there, but also it was before the foreign books kind of took off, and I was getting them for $20 each. So I was disappointed that that was out of my price range. You know, that was way more than I personally would be willing to pay, but that's what foreign books are doing these days, these foreign editions, and I'm here for it. I think it's great. So I've done a lot of talking and not much showing because I only bought 4 comics. But let me show you what I got. So the first dealer, the guy that had the laugh, they did have a box of romance. It was more teen humor stuff. But I did get one romance book. It's My Romantic Adventures number 118. I love this series from ACG. I was disappointed because they had so many ACG books in the horror section. When I saw this, I was like, jackpot. It was just $5. It's probably a 4.5 because it does have what feels like a subscription crease bend down the middle, even though it hasn't left a crease. You can feel it. But for $5 for this series, I would have bought every single thing they had there, which I did because unfortunately it was just one, and they didn't have any issues of Confessions of the Lovelorn. So that was a disappointment, but it was all, it's just really cool to get this. I love this series. I do have about 30 issues of it now. I may have already had this. Didn't have my checklist. I don't have an up-to-date checklist for this series. So I did buy one other thing. So they had a minimum for credit card orders at this place of $10, and this was only $5. So I went back over the horror books, and I got this. It's Charlton Premiere number 2. With the Children of Doom, with this great cover by Pat Boyette. And I've heard of this story. Charlton fans online, I've heard a couple different times talk about this comic. So, I saw this, again, it was $5. So that brought my total up to 10 for the pair, which was the minimum in order to do the order. So I was really excited to get both of these. Now, I didn't get anything from the guy with the foreign editions, but there were a couple other people that had comics. One of them actually had some CGC books, but it's X-Men stuff. Who cares, right? No, I got something. Forget the X-Men, right? Forget Bronze Age, Chris Claremont, John Byrne's CGC X-Men books. What I got is something that I've never seen before from Atlas Comics. Now, I do pick up Atlas Comics when I can get them cheap. I don't have like a complete run. I don't have every series, but I have quite a few of them. And I've been, seeing these for 40 years. They used to be a lot easier to find and a lot cheaper to find, back when I was a kid in the 80s. But I've been seeing these for a long time, and I thought I had seen all of them. Uh, I've even seen issues of Vicky, although they were priced out of my price range because that's something I'm trying to find on the cheap. But I've even seen issues of Vicky, which is the hardest one to get of the comic books versions. But they had one today that I've never seen before, or if I have seen it, it didn't register because I don't have any memory of ever seeing this. It was beat up and it was $5, and a beat up Atlas for $5, unless it's Vicky, is probably not worth it. But I had to get it because I'd never seen it. Here it is. It's Western action starring Kid Cody Gunfighter and the Comanche Kid. So again, I've never heard of this. I've never seen it, other than I know Metarog on his channel. He has a complete set of all the Atlas comics. So, but I've never seen this. Again, it's pretty beat up. So normally I wouldn't spend $5 on an Atlas issue that's this beat up, but considering that this is just like a real anomaly, I have to think that this had to be one of their lowest selling books. I mean, this is what, like 1975, and they're bringing out a new Western. And it's got Kid Cody, the Comanche Kid, but also introducing the Renegade. So anyway, it's just cool because I'd never seen it before. I will say, just going back real quick to the booth where I got this, they had something else there that I had never seen before. Not just the Laugh 20. They had an issue of Fast Willie Jackson. So it was $75. So again, I'm looking for those in my price range. I'm looking in, the dollar bins. And I might be willing to go up to 25 or 30 for an issue of Fast Willie Jackson, but 75 is out of my range. But don't think I've ever actually seen one in person. I've talked again with Metarog, who has that run, and used to see them a lot down in Florida, but I've never seen them up here. So up here in New England, I wonder about the regional distribution of Fast Willie Jackson, but for whatever reason, I've never seen one before, so that was really cool. Finally, I got this. It's a lower grade. I don't know, I might have overpaid for it, but after, we'd already spent so much to get to the show, and it was something that I actually needed on my checklist. And it's a minor key for people who are total nerds. Silver Age Superman nerds. Because it's Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane, number 19, the first appearance of Mr. and Mrs. Superman. Now, the Mr. and Mrs. Superman imaginary stories, just meaning it's, on another alternate Earth, ran for a long time after this, into the 80s, because that was still a strip in issues of, some issues of Superman Family still had Mr. and Mrs. Superman. I think issue 200 of Superman Family actually had Mr. and Mrs. Superman. I'm going from memory here. One thing that I've not shown you guys yet in my Complete Run Madness is that I do have a complete run of Superman Family. So at some point I'll show that too. But here we are, Lois Lane. I was just saying to my wife, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to finish this run. I have the feeling I'm going to get to a certain point and I'm not going to want to spend the amount of money I'll need to finish the run. But having said that, I'm only missing 2 issues to have like number 27 and up, I think. So I have quite a lot of them. This is the earliest one I have now. I think 19. So I was happy to get this. It was $15. It's low grade. I think there's a bottom staples popped. It's not great, but for an issue this early of Lois Lane, 19, I think it's probably still about right price wise. So that was it. I just got those 4 books. But I did see some stuff that I've never seen before. Not just the uh, Western action from Alice Comics, but particularly very exciting to see the Laugh Comics 20 and the German Avengers 57. Very cool. If I was a person that had a ton of money, like a lot of disposable income, I would have bought both of those because those are cool books that I wanted in my collection for sure. Um, so all in all, I would say if you're in the Brighton area and they're having one of these Retromanias, go ahead and go. But just keep your expectations in check because it was 75% clothing and 15% records and 10% everything else. So there's not going to be a lot of comics, but if they have these dealers, there will be some stuff that you're going to find cool there. So that's it for this time. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you next time.